Lester to make sure he's aware and can add them in as appropriate. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you. Next for public comment concerning the budget is Kim, help me, Fife. I apologize, Kim.
So I'm Kim Fife. I am a part of the library board, and I, go pretty much what Kelly said, that there is some salary issues that we would like to see that addressed in the budget, because we have several workers for the library. Some, I know one of them has been there for 20 years. We've got a really good loyal staff, and, with the increase in minimum wage and stuff, most new people are making similar as what they've made after 10, 15, or 20 years. So we would like to see that reflected, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is the two comments that I have on my list. Is there anyone else here that would like to make a comment concerning tonight's budget meeting?
I'm with the Honeacre Lions Club, and we have submitted a donation request for help with our Independence Day celebration for July 2nd. Just wanted to see if we could get some help from the Board of Supervisors. They've been a big help to us in the past.
Name and address, please.
My name's Josh Barrett. Address is 1079 Weiser Valley Road, Honeacre. Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Barrett. I appreciate it. Anyone else in the room that would like to address concerns on the budget hearing tonight? I don't believe I hear anybody. All right. Thank you. Mr. Lester, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Of course, everyone knows that this is the Russell County FY 22-23 budget, that the Board of Supervisors has already set the tax rate. There was no tax increases on either real estate, personal property, machine and tool throughout the county for the fiscal year 22 and 23, which is good news. With the rate of inflation, they had concerns about putting any additional burdens onto Russell County citizens. But again, we're back here today, and as some of y'all know, you've been watching the news, and some of the audience has. The government, the state of Virginia has still not approved its budget. So we, as the county, have our numbers compiled. All of our departments have submitted. We're also having rediscussions with them as the information comes in, and updating our numbers as they come in. But again, the state of Virginia has not fully, adopted the budget as of yet, and the governor has signed it. So we are having a workshop next Tuesday at 6 o'clock in here with the Board of Supervisors. There's an additional public hearing if anybody wants to speak. But again, we're waiting on the state numbers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. And moving on the agenda is another citizen's comment. So this could be outside the realm of the budget. So if there's anybody here that has something they need to talk about, that'll be a fine time to do that. Kelly is not going to miss an opportunity.
Well, no, I'm actually just curious. I know,
Mr. Lester had talked about how difficult the situation was, and I was just curious how it panned out that we're managing to have a balanced budget. Because is the what is it, the prison, the Southwest Virginia Regional Jail, we're staying level there?
It's a various of things that the Board of Supervisors has worked on. of course, we work on a very fine line margin as far as our operations, and that we look at anywhere that we can do a cost. There's no additional revenue, and the cost of inflation is going up. So, of course, the regional jail is one. We're working many of the community work program, and that is saving a lot on the jail. So we've also have worked on additional things like disposal, trash, leach throughout the county, trying to cut our costs on various operations. And we're down to now to where we're working within our means, as the saying goes. But again, we're trying to, and we will be delivering the same amount of services that we do without raising taxes throughout the county. And again, we're open, for any cuts or additional, efficiencies in operation. So it's a various of things. And I want to thank all the Russell County departments for working with us. Everybody has been so great through this, and everybody has worked so hard at trying to get these numbers this close as that we have without knowing what the government has said. And we are dependent on, each other for this. So again, thank you, Russell County departments.
Okay, we're ready for our adjournment. We don't have any comments,
Well,
but
Since it's a budget workshop,
Okay.
can I just bring up a recommendation for everybody to think about?
you can.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I know back years ago when me and Steve was on the budget committee, we had a great relationship with everybody. And I made a comment that I felt like that all the money was in one pot, which everybody argued with me and said, no, when we budget it to certain entities, they can do whatever they want to with their money. But a recommendation that I have to help us and help the county to get through this troublesome time is I was made aware that we're doing pretty good, I guess. I guess the county administrator and the budget committee can answer this question, but on the insurance itself, I mean, we were able to battle through that and really sustain and keep a lot of money in that. But something I recognized, I guess, through the budget is that we had an opportunity to get $2 million back from the school system. Instead, they put it in the insurance fund, and they didn't give it back to the county. And I felt like that if we'd have had that additional money, because we're not going to allow the insurance to go, up, but this would have really helped us tremendously, because I know that fire department rescues are going to need additional radios for the new upgrades. I know that we're going to have to meet some of the requirements that's coming down, and I know it's going to be tight. But I would like to see legally, if there was a way, because we all work together consistently, and we have a great working relationship with the school system, but if half of that could have came back to us, we would have been in really good shape. And we could have met those requirements that have been requested. But instead of them giving it back to us, they put it in the insurance fund, which I understand there's some legal requirements in regards to that. But to me, it's all one pot of money, and we all got to work together to make sure that we sustain ourselves financially. So if we would have got half of that back, we could have kind of got over the hurdle here with some of these budget issues without having to look at raising anything or coming up with some new funding initiatives until we can get more businesses, more jobs, and get through this inflation situation. But Madam Chair, I appreciate your time with this, and I just want everybody to kind of consider that and look at and see what our legal opportunity is to take half or $1 million of that and put it back into our opportunity funds or general funds. And then I had talked to Orris about this, and we had a good conversation about it. And since he's on the budget committee, and I didn't get a chance to talk to Miss Dye. I've been working in Dickinson County, didn't have no cell phone service, so I've just been able to hit and miss. But if we could look into that, I think that, because we're not going to let the insurance go belly up, but if there's $7, $8, $9 million in it, and we can take $1 million and help us to help balance this, I think we'd be in real good shape, and some of these requests and requests could be fulfilled.
Thank you. Anybody else want to say anything concerning, Mr. Eaton's remarks on the insurance?
Chair, I would like to say something in behalf of what he said. That has been done in the past, and you feel like it's within our bounds and our jurisdiction to be able to do it again?
I'm not a lawyer, but I felt like that, being on the budget committee, we asked all the different departments if they had any additional revenues, and they weren't gonna spend those revenues if they could give it back to us, because we're all in this together. And it would help us as a board to be able to help balance our budget, but instead they put the money in the insurance fund. They didn't give it back to the county. And we're not gonna let that insurance go belly up. We didn't, when we went through that rough spot and got into a real pickle with it, we bailed out, and everybody done a fantastic job. I commend everybody that worked on that, Miss Di and different ones that done that and got us out of that situation. But it would have really helped the county if the school system had gave us that money back, and we could have really got over the hump on this situation, Oris. And then I don't know what the legal opportunity of that is to pull it back out and for us to be able to get ahead of the inflation situation, but it would really help us if we're going to come up with about $600,000-700,000 short. That would have really helped us meet our requirement. We'd had extra monies available. Nobody knows the unknowns of anything, and we didn't know about the pandemic. We didn't know about all this, Madam Chair, and all the things we've been dealt with. But to me, it's all one pot of money, and I don't think we ought to subject ourselves to cutting certain programs or doing certain things that are so critical to everything that we've been able to accomplish as a full board, to be able to look at cutting when we need to be look at ways to make money or utilize the money that we have in the full pot to help us get through these scenarios and situations.
Well, maybe Mr. Lonzo, could you tell us whether we can make any changes in that or not? I only spent a little bit of time on this budget committee, and so I don't know a whole lot what's went on and what ain't went on, other than
Well, the health, and I'll speak briefly on it now, and I'll speak more on it next week when we got to workshop, and I'll get all the details on the deposits. One thing about, you gotta remember, health insurance, and Tim sits on the meeting, we have a certain obligation to match certain claims for a year. So for example, if we have a $3 or $4 million claims per year, that's what we got to keep in reserve as a catch-up. So in case something does go wrong, this board worked really, really hard with the school board, and like Mr. Eaton said, we had a $1.5 million deficit at one time, and we had to, and I know the county employees, during that time, they bit their tongue per se, and they had their benefits reduced and their premiums increased. So we got it back stable. We do have a surplus in it, and we have talked with the auditors on it. But when those are reported into the audits by the Code of Virginia under what the benefits are like under pensions, and when you obligate that money, there is certain legal terms. So let me get a full, answer for the board so that we know that based off of what we have in claims coming, we've got the money in reserves to be able to do it, and even if it is possible or not. So let me get a little bit more details, because the health
Mr.
insurance is
Eaton
more than
mentioned
the budget.
about same pot of money, but really, is he not? There are guidelines that how we can use that pot of money.
And
isn't
Mr.,
it?
it's all under what we call the general funds, and like Steve, it's all, but it's not.
But it's
not all.
guidelines that we have to go by to
you
use
do.
that, isn't
You
it?
do, and I like Dave's thinking. I would love to be able to take some of the federal money and use it at will, but let me get the details. I don't want to. I got to work with the school. We got to get it's actuaried on base what the claims are, what we're looking at paying in premiums. And as y'all can see in your budget line items, to make a long story short, we'll go into more, you've seen that the health insurance line items have increased, not from the cost. Actually, we're back at 80-20. We've lowered the premiums, and I'll guarantee you, and we've looked at 10 counties, and Tim will tell you, we have the cheapest insurance, and I can make this, anybody wants a copy of it, in 13 counties. So we were willing to bet, but give me time to go back and look at what the school claims are and what our brokers are saying and what our health program has got. So
I appreciate that. Well, the only thing I'm saying is, if they would have gave us the money back, we would have made sure it was gonna be stable and sufficient anyway. And, you know, I mean, I don't know, do you know how much is in the insurance fund? Currently, it's $7-8 million,
we're about at 6.8 million.
6.8 million. I mean, if you had $3 million worth of claims, but what I'm saying is, I know these are hard times. I understand that. I've reviewed this and went through this budget. I don't want to see us cut any programs at all. And these people, the library board, all these people have valid concerns, you know, because we didn't create the minimum wage. We didn't create COVID-19. We didn't create these things, and we don't, none of us on this board wants to put the burden on the back of the taxpayers, but we have to run this county like a business. I mean, we have to, and to me, it is all one pot of money. And if we could use that to get over the rocky time and get through some of this till we get back on our feet, I think it would be, and I know the schools was great to work with us. I mean, you know, even in the past, we done a lot of stuff and built new buildings, put on new roofs, and done a lot of things and upgrades. And I wish that they would have turned that money back over to us, and then we would have been able to make sure we could balance our budget with about $2 million of that, and then kept that, because we're not going to let that go under. None of those people on this board is going to let that. We've actually had to work with them to maybe even look to put money in that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So the return on that could help us get through these hard times. That's all I'm saying. I'm not a lawyer, but it would make good sense to me if there's any surplus at the end of the budget years that it needs to go back into the head of this and then redistribute it back out if needed, so we can keep everybody fluent and running properly. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I'll have a full answer for the board next week at the workshop.
Okay, thank you. And so our next, before we adjourn, let me make sure everybody knows and the public knows, our next public hearing concerning the fiscal year 22-23 county financial budget, and our workshop is going to be scheduled for Tuesday, June 21 at 6 p.m. here in these chambers. So at this time, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Madam
Thank you.
Chair.
Thank you, guys.